How you doing? It's the Butcher here. Today with another video. They just wrapped up, as of just literally a few minutes ago, the campfire chat discussing the Abbitoir of Zir event. So I wanted to go over that. And as you can see, I'm on a Sork, so I still will be bringing, now that I got all the information from that, I was kind of waiting on that. I will be bringing, it's almost all the way leveled up, all 5 classes and the builds I'm going to be taking into this event. So, first things I want to mention, sounds like a lot of fun, sounds like something that's been desperately missing from this game. True, real, like, end game grind of, like, actual difficult content. I mentioned this, I believe, in my last video, that everything is easy right now. Lilith is a joke. Duriel's a bigger joke. You just farm him as a loot pinata for the loot. Tier 100s are a joke for any good build. This should actually be difficult. I don't think it's going to be impossible to do tier 25 like they, had said, was that like a month ago or whatever it was at BlizzCon, I think. But I do think it's actually going to be difficult. It's actually going to be a grind. It's actually going to be fun. So, kind of just wanted to discuss a couple things to get you guys ready and kind of what we know. Obviously, we don't have every single detail because the event's not released yet, but they did go into a pretty good amount on the campfire chat. So, first things first, some of the stuff we kind of already knew. There's 25 tiers, and they're going to be made over at the Occultist here as a sigil. They start out as 800 powder, and I actually don't remember if they mentioned this, but I believe they go up as you go into higher tiers. So, if we look at right now, a tier 100 cost 450 powder. A tier 1 of the Bloodforge is going to be 800, and like I said, I believe it goes up. So one of the first things to discuss is, if we go here, having a lot of sigil powder. I have a ridiculous amount because I've been grinding so much trying to get all these builds ready for this event. I have 120k. Now, that's 119. That's overkill, but I would suggest trying to get as much sigil powder as you can before the event if you plan on grinding this. Ways you can get it is obviously salvaging sigils. Other ways you can get it is some, like in the events in the Nightmare Dungeons, usually drop sigil powder. Tree of Whispers, I believe it sometimes drops sigil powder, but I know it drops at least a sigil every time that you can just go salvage. So things like that are ways you can grind up your sigil powder. I wouldn't spend too much of it beforehand. Second thing I wanted to talk about is kind of what they said and how the event actually works. But wanted to kind of mention that as the first thing, because you're probably going to need a good amount of sigil powder because you only have 1 life. And if you die, you get nothing, no glyph XP, no loot, nothing. So the other thing is you do have to finish the season journey here to be able to access it. So you don't have to complete all the objectives. I think like for this one you needed, I think 7 out of 9, whatever it was. But you will have to have that done. So as far as the event, starts at 1, it goes to 25. They said each tier is roughly 4 tiers of a Nightmare Dungeon. So basically what they're saying is a tier 25 is kind of like a tier 200 Nightmare Dungeon. But the way it works is quite a bit different. So you're going to spawn in, it's going to be randomized, and there's going to be basically, there's going to be a 10-minute time limit, and there's basically just going to be mobs kind of running at you. And you have to kill these mobs, and you have to fill up a progress bar. And you have to do this, and then after you fill up that progress bar, the bosses, I should say, that will spawn are going to be 3 of the Bloodseekers that you've probably seen around in like the Blood Harvest, but obviously much stronger. And they will be randomized. They usually spawn in as one of like the characters and have some of their abilities and things like that. So I actually think that's pretty cool, but there will be 3 of them, so I'm interested to see how that plays out, how much health they have, and everything like that. But you will need to clear it all within 10 minutes. So, with that being said, the other thing to understand is you only have 1 life. So when you're going through this mob clearing portion, you only have 1 life. So you have to kill them within this time, and you can't die. So it's essentially like hardcore, but obviously your character's not deleted. But the thing they said is what will scale the most is life. So the monster damage is not gonna, it's gonna scale up as you go. Um, I have it down here what they said actually. So they said a tier 10, the monster level is gonna be 157. So right now the monster level in a tier 100, oh god, I'm blanking. It's 153 or 154. So the monster level is not going to scale that much, meaning level 25 is probably going to be around like low 160s, I would think. Um, probably low 160s. Not sure the exact number. But what will scale much more is the monster's health than their level and their damage output. So you are going to need a lot of damage, but I think this is the biggest misconception. And from everything I've been hearing, people are like, damage, damage, damage. We are getting that new glyph that comes in, the Tears of Blood glyph, which is just a seasonal glyph. And you can max it out for up to 1,000 damage increase. So while the health is going way up, we are also going way up in our damage. What is not going up is our defense. And I think people are focusing on damage, damage, damage because they keep saying life is what's going to be important. They're going to have more life. But we're also getting more damage. We're not getting more defense necessarily. So I think that's something that's very important to understand. And this will be in my build guides. The importance of defense and how I still think we're going to need defense and to hit that armor cap or at least get near it and max out resistances and all that good stuff. Because the other thing to think about too is if they have more life, they will likely take a little bit longer to kill, and the longer they take to kill, the more damage you're going to take in. So while it seems like, they're emphasizing you want to be able to do more damage, I think they just want to show us big numbers. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to change all that much from like a tier 100. I think the defense is going to be just as important, if not more important than it is right now. Because they are giving us that way to massively increase our damage, but not really any way to massively increase our defenses. So with that being said, this event is also going to be like a grind because you're going to need that glyph to increase your damage enough to be able to go into the higher tiers. So for a tier 1, you get 1,000 XP, and they showed off some of the Tears of Blood requirements to level it up, and you can level it up to 200 times. And so from like level 1 to 2, I believe was 2K, so like doing 2 of the tier 1s, and then it goes up from there. So it is going to be a grind. So I don't know, like I said, I'm making builds for all 5 characters. I don't know how far I'll get with all of them, if I'm even able to get through one of them. But you're going to need that glyph leveled up, so you're not going to just be able to go through like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way down to 25. You're probably going to need to repeat a bunch of those, the ones you're able to do, to power up that glyph to be able to do the next tier, which I actually think is nice and adds like a cool endgame grind to it. And then, as that glyph increases, you're just going to become much more powerful and be able to take on the higher tiers, but then you'll have to grind those higher tiers to get to the next one most likely, unless you're crazy broken or crazy good at the game or both or whatever it might be. So that's most of what we know about the event. Some other things I did want to discuss though on how to get ready is, you got your obvious. Also, I have a little goodie here that actually dropped while I was making this sork that I will do a showcase on and will be incorporated in my build. But just wanted to show that off for a second. But did want to discuss a couple things into pertaining to how to get ready for the event. Obviously, get your gear in order, farming Duriel, getting those Uber Uniques. It is going to be hard, I think, so they're probably going to be like almost essential to complete the highest of tiers, to be honest. It sounds like. We'll see when it comes out. But the other thing is, as you can see, this character's not all the way, but I'm grinding out the other glyphs because you are still going to need these all the way leveled up. You're going to need the maximum, as you can see, that's only 15 there. You're going to need the maximum power you could possibly get. So make sure you have your other glyphs leveled up. So you're the most powerful you can be going in, because you're going to want to put all that glyph XP into the Zir glyph. And I don't even know, it's going to be probably tough to even beat the level 1 if you're not, fully powered. And then going off that, so in my build guides, I already have it set up even for this one where I'm going to put this glyph. For this one, I could just give you an example. It's actually going to be in this spot right here. I think I came to the conclusion it's probably the best spot. But look at your Paragon board. If you go to like D4 builds or like really any of the other websites, they have the glyph already in there, so you can put it in. You can see what you want to take out, see what makes sense. So have an idea where you want to put that glyph going in, and then rework your Paragon board around that, move some things around, whatever you got to do. Next thing I wanted to talk about is coming down here. Is this little guy, the Alchemist over here. He's forgotten about a lot of times, but I think he will be very important as well too, because of incense. I can't even do that one. And elixirs. I think you're probably going to want one of each on at all times during this event, if it's as hard as we think. So a thing that would be great to have is a ton of these mats, these crafting mats here, and you can get a bunch from Helltide. You can get it drops from the Whispers as well too. So if you want to farm Duriel, try to get some uber uniques, better gear, etc. You can also get these too. And I think when you go in, you're gonna want to, you could do something like this character will end up having maxed out resistances. But let's say my shadow is, if I put the shadow thing in, I hit it, but if I don't hit it. Maybe I end up wanting to throw on the shadow elixir instead, and then pop a what's it called, skull in here to get them more armor, to try to hit the armor cap, things like that. And you're able to have one elixir, one incense going at a time. So I think being able to craft these is going to be very important. And then I believe it's like a week after the event drops, there's the new Midwinter Blight event, and they did go into some details about that, but they do have some very interesting elixirs that are kind of a combo of 2, and it sounds like they're going to be random, so you could get something like Max Life and Lucky Hit Chance for a rogue, which would be fantastic, I think is one they showed off, or Max Life and crit, or armor and crit damage, or whatever it might be. So you kind of be able to get a combo of 2 elixirs, and I think these will be very important to kind of push you over the top and get you to that next level. And I probably will be running both incense and a elixir at all times. So as far as that's, I know there wasn't any gameplay in this. I kind of just wanted to talk about it and just show some things here. Remember with the training dummy too, if you want to see what numbers you're hitting once we get in there, we're going to see kind of what numbers we need to hit to kill certain enemies, how much the bosses have, so how much we can allocate into our damage, how much we can allocate into defensive, all the good things like that. That'll probably be nice. But besides that, I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. I'm very excited for the event. I've been looking forward to it all season. Oh, hey, you got the little staff too. Nice, unknown. But I'm very excited for it. And look, I think my first build guide will be coming out tomorrow, and then I'll have them all out before the event, probably tweaking some things, after we actually get into the event. The build planners will change along with that. And then once we actually get into the event, I think I'm going to end up live streaming a decent part of the gameplay. And then once I learn more about it, also come out with a video on tips, tricks, what you need, what kind of numbers you want to be hitting, and obviously adjusting builds off of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. It was The Butcher, another video, and I'm very excited for really the next probably month or so in Diablo. So I hope you guys enjoy. See you in the next one.